what this will have an impact on is it'll help, or it'll certainly deter, I would imagine, those people who are the sort of the more unwitting elements of it, the lower elements who are actually conducting perhaps the hostile surveillance. That's what we need to curb. But if we cut that level off, we're cutting the limbs away from the head, and that's what we want to be able to do.
The Home Secretary has announced that Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps will be banned in the UK and designated a threat to national security. Under the new government crackdown, anyone found supporting or assisting the group could face up to 14 years in prison. Sir Keir Starmer, who has faced months of pressure from fellow Labour MPs and members of the opposition to outlaw the group, spoke about the decision today.
And we're designating the IRGC. And what that means is that anyone found supporting or assisting these groups will now face up to 14 years in prison.
Ministers say the fast-track powers will make it easier for police and intelligence services to target and lock up foreign state proxies operating on British streets. Let's speak to Roger MacMillan, former Director of Security at Iran International. Good evening to you. Really good to see you again. Am I right in saying you've been calling for this for quite some time?
I have indeed. It's not just myself, but a lot of other commentators and people involved with the whole Iranian diaspora have been calling for the proscription of the IRGC, especially in the last few years, since we've seen a significant uptick in violent state-backed activity against the Jewish community and the Persian diaspora here in London, especially amongst the journalists. Yes,
you, of course, were responsible for journalists at Iran International. Just spell out if this law had come in while you were at Iran International, what extra support and security would you have been given? Would it have made a material difference into the way that you conducted your operation there?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, we had phenomenal support from the Home Office and from the Metropolitan Police at the time, so I can't fault that. I think, however, had the Met Police had more legislation to support what they do in terms of the actual shutting down of various networks, then it would have been to everybody's benefit. I think what we've seen in the last few years, though, we've seen a real awareness amongst the British public and the intelligence service and the security and the police about it's not just the kinetic threat that we face. It is very much the soft influence actors who operate pretty freely here in London. So nowadays you have not just sort of online media channels broadcasting against the UK and broadcasting from UK about us, but also you have the social media influencers who clearly run an Iran agenda, and other entities as well who are here in the UK, many of whom are already being come under some scrutiny. But this will now give law enforcement far more tools to criminalise what they are doing to protect not just the Jewish and the Persian diaspora, but the British people as a whole.
And this is particularly relevant now because of the US-Iran war, although Iran has long been a threat to the UK. The IRGC believed to have directed 7 attacks at UK locations linked to Jewish and Israeli communities. That anti-Semitic arson attack on the 4 Hatzolah ambulances in Golders Green, for example. MI5, meanwhile, has identified at least 20 potentially lethal Iranian-backed plots against people in the UK within the last year. IRGC, of course, is central to the Iranian state's operations. So just spelling out some of the concern here. Will this put off state actors, people acting on behalf of Iran?
At the hardcore level, I don't think it will. It's much like as we had when we had the heydays of the Irish Republican Army. Prescribing them did not have that impact. They still conducted. But what this will have an impact on is it'll help, or it'll certainly deter, I would imagine, those people who are the sort of the more unwitting elements of it, the lower elements who are actually conducting perhaps the hostile surveillance. That's what we need to curb. But if we cut that level off, we're cutting the limbs away from the head, and that's what we want to be able to do.
And it's these silent operations, isn't it? I mean, one of your journalists was attacked in the street outside his home. That was a very horrible, visible attack, public attack. Most of the threats, fortunately, aren't like that. They are much more subtle, aren't they? Just spell out exactly how Iran, the IRGC and Iranian proxies operate here. What do they get up to? What do they do?
So it's a lot of it stems from Iran itself. When you see the the rather horrible spectre of Iranian transnational repression. So they were attacking families back in Iran, threatening them, removing their assets, calling them for investigations and saying, make sure your son or your daughter stops working for that channel, stop doing for this. They're putting enormous pressure on the Iranian families back in Iran to attack their journalists and their family members here. What you also see is what we've seen in the last sort of few months, in particular with IMCR, I think it's been called now, but the Harakat Ashab al-Yamin al-Samiyya, that the organization, which was a Kataib Hezbollah, an Iraqi organization, offshoot, which was operating here. It was recruiting
with the ambulances in Golders Green.
So they're recruiting youths, youngsters, etc., to act on their behalf, paying them a small amount of money, never quite knowing what they're up to, who the ultimate paymaster is. But they're doing this for a laugh or whatever, and a little bit of money. And it has the impact. And it has the impact of, conducting anti-Semitic attacks in London against the Jewish people, also against Iranian diaspora. And it really puts a sense of fear into those communities.
Well, the IMCR, the Islamic Movement of Companions of the Right, they've also been proscribed today alongside the Volunteer Corps of Russia's GRU, that's the Foreign Military Intelligence Agency. So this is a good move. Why do you think it took so long? We have been talking about this for a while, and the government sort of has always sidestepped it like there's something just a bit more important at the top of the agenda.
It's really hard to say, but what it looks as though is for many years we have tried to position ourselves as great interlocutors with the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Having an embassy, Tehran, for example.
Having the eyes on, having the potential for future economic agreements, etc. But I think the actions of the Islamic Republic over the last few months in particular, notwithstanding the last 47 years, but the last few months, and certainly since the alleged ceasefire, in inverted commas, we've seen that they're not an organisation or an entity that can be negotiated with. They do not play correctly. They do not sort of follow their rules. They do what they want to do and will twist a narrative from this. How can you negotiate with these people for the future? The time for negotiation is it's long over now, and it's much more down to the fact that you can't trust them. You can't deal with them. You have to prescribe because you have to cut off their ability to prosecute their terror in UK, as we have done all over Europe.
Roger, we've spoken to you before. You've got many lines into Iran. You have the ability to sort of be able to take us a little more on the ground, certainly from what we can report normally. I mean, obviously this ceasefire, as you said, it seems to be a document of no worth at the moment. Donald Trump saying that the US is going to keep the Strait of Hormuz open. They're going to charge people, they're going to charge a toll for it. Iran's defence officials today saying, look, the US just cannot intervene. They have nothing to do with the management of the Strait of Hormuz. Taking a broader view, where are you at in terms of where the ceasefire is and where the war between both the US and Iran, with Israel thrown in, goes next?
That is a $6 million question at the moment, is what is actually going on here. We have seen a ceasefire. It held for a period of time, and then it looks as though that when Iran does not get its way, it goes back to, well, you're not abiding by the stipulations of the MOU, and therefore we're going to attack a vessel that is traversing the Strait of Hormuz. That then elicits a response from the US, an escalation from Iran, and a counter-escalation from America. We're back to square one. Today, as you've heard, exactly as you said, Donald Trump is going to charge for it, and the Iranians have said, well, we're going to charge too, what's wrong with that? But we're not charging as much as you. And so you see a war of words is coming in there, and it's almost cyclical at the moment, and it's hard to see what will break it. Cyclically frustrating, I'm sure, for everyone involved, and of course where there is weather attacks, there are also lives at threat as well, and the Gulf nations are taking a hammering once again from Iran as they provoke the USA against what the USA are doing to Iran. Thank you for being with us. It's always great to see you. Thank you. Roger MacMillan, who's former Director of Security at Iran International. Good to have you with us. It's Kait Borsay. It's the evening edition on